So welcome again to my YouTube tutorial. Now we are going to learn some basics of Python, that is about functions. So we are going to learn about the Python functions. Okay. So in any language, functions are basically the block or that are organized to perform some kind of operation. Okay. So in Python, same thing is there. This is a block of organized reusable code which is used to perform a single related action as it is stated here. So basically a function is like a block of code which only runs when it is called. Okay. Now you can pass data known as parameters into a function. A function can return data as a result. So overall functions are basically that part of code which are separated from the other codes, and when we need that code we can call them again and again, and when we call them they will just execute the function and the statements that are inside that function. Okay, so Python functions are very useful. Advantage of using functions are like we don't need to repeat the same code again and again. Like in looping we are iterating the objects. Okay, basically we are iterating the our loop counter variable again and again so that we can run the same statement again and again. Similarly, uh, in case of big codes or large codes, we can use function there, and when we need that function, we can call that function. Okay. So the first property is like function. How to create a function? The first thing that come in our mind is about creating a function. So we can create a function using def keyword in Python. So we have talked earlier about the keywords in Python. Like there are keywords. Keywords are basically the predefined words that are used for a specific purpose. Okay, like in C++, C or C++, there are many keywords. Similarly, in case of Python, there is keyword called def, which is used to create a function. Okay, in C or C++, we are using something like int and then function name and then parenthesis. In Python, we have to use the def keyword before writing any function. Okay, so like this, I have created a function like myfunc, and inside that I have indented a print function, and inside print function I have passed a string literal, that is my name is like this. Okay, so this is about creating a function. So now you can call that function. Second is how to call that function. So to call that function you have to just use the function name. Here my function is the function. Okay, so my is function name. Okay, so basically it is also a variable name. Okay, so all the rules that are applicable to variable are still applicable to the function names. Okay, def is a keyword and print is a function, and my name is Weber is a string method. Okay, now if we call that, we will get output like that. So first we run this, and secondly, and we can run. Okay, so this is about creating a function and then calling a function. Similarly, we can create another functions. Okay, so like that. For that we can have like this def another, like another is the name of the function, and suppose there is nothing. Okay, there is nothing inside the parenthesis, so we have to pass something that are called parameters or arguments. So here we can use print function like that, and we can do any operation like print 1 plus 3, that will return me the value 4. Now if I call the another, okay, if I call another, then it will return me the value 4. Okay, similarly we can do any other things in that, like if we have something like this, suppose I have to use the loop inside a function, so I can use that also. So for I in range like that, suppose you have to print something 10 times. Okay, so print like something, okay, that's cool, something 10 times, and after that I've created the function and I've put the statements inside that. There is a for loop which is executing 10 times and it's printing something. So but this is half of the code. We have to call that function and when we call that function, this will return me what I have returned in the function, or what I print inside the function. Okay, so basically something will be there. Now if I call that again and again, like print another, okay, I'm calling another one time a function another one time. Now if I try to call that again, so it will execute the same, okay, and something will be printed 20 times like this. So none is nothing but the property of this cell, so no need to worry about that. Okay, now let us take another function, def my fun, like this, something like this, and there is like I have list, so list 1 equal to something like this, 1 2 3 4 5 6, something like this. Okay, now list 2 equal to 1 2 3 5 4 5, something like this, and I have to return, I am returning list 1 plus list 2. Let's see what is going to happen. So my fun, okay, so we have to use print. You can use the print, or you can use the same name in that also, but it's good practice to use the print function, because you are in collab you can use the name only for calling, but in any other IDE you need to call that using the print function. Okay, you have to use the print function. So this is like it concatenated both of the list, like for list 1 is concatenated with list 2, and it's returning the complete list. So this is the function, and if I call that again, it will execute again my function like that. Okay, so there is a property in Python that we can use multiple function in our code. So basically when we do a programming, or when we are coding, we use functions again and again, and we define functions for everything. So functions are the basics of any programming language, because without function you are not going to create a large applications. To create large application you will require functions. Okay, functions are very important in object oriented programming, in app development, like you are developing some app using Java. So for that there are some functions, like in your app there is button option. So for that button option there is some clicking, and after that clicking there will be something happening. So for that you have to define some kind of function. Okay, so functions are very important in any kind of programming language. In Python this too is important. There are many libraries where we can do where we can create web applications or desktop applications. So there also we will be using functions and all. So functions are very basics and very important. Okay, so the next thing about function is that, like, here we are not passing anything, or we are not writing anything. Like in C or C++, we have to give some arguments inside that if we want to use that arguments in the function block. Okay, so similarly in Python, if you need to add something in your block, then you will require a parameter. Okay, so that is information can be passed into functions as arguments. So suppose you have some function, then you can use that function, and you can use some arguments to the block to print more information about that. Okay, so a parameter is basically there is no difference between there is no difference like among the parameter and argument, but as per the convenience you can consider like a parameter is the variable which is used inside function definition. Suppose we have defined something like this, def my function. So inside that, like this, first name and last name, this is the parameters, and argument is basically the value that is sent to the function when it is called. So argument is the value that is called, that is sent to the value that is called. So during calling, what we pass inside the function is basically the argument, and what we have initialized in the function definition, that is the parameter. Okay, so by default a function must be called with correct number of arguments, meaning that if your function, okay, so if you have used two arguments or two parameters in your definition of function, then required to give at least two arguments, not more, not less. Okay, sorry, at least, not at least. You have to give you have to give the two arguments. Okay, so for example, like this, there is a function that is called full name. Basically, I am taking first name and last name, and I am concatenating both the first name and last name. So for that, I am taking arguments as first name and last name. And so let me first run that and run that also, like this. So in arguments, where I am passing first argument as Alec and the second argument as Jace. So first name is Alec, first name is like Alec is passed to first name and Jace is passed to second last name, and both are concatenated in this print function. Now suppose I give something more, like some other name like X. Now what will happen? It will give me an error, that is type error. First of all, the error name is like type error, and it's like it's showing the line where we have the error, like full name. And the error is like the function full name takes two positional arguments but three were given. Basically, I am giving the in the definition part, I am giving two arguments and I am providing the three arguments in the calling section. So that's wrong. So the statement means the same. So when we have to call the function, we have to use this same number of arguments, not more than and not less than. Okay, so this is what. Okay, so this is like Alec and Jace. So this is about the arguments and parameters. So we can use another function. There are let me go through another function. Okay, so like def something like difference, like even and odd. Suppose you have to check whether the function whether the given number is even or odd. So even, odd, like that. Okay, I am taking number, so for me it's like num. You can use anything inside the parenthesis. It's like a variable name. Okay, now I have to consider the logic behind the even odd. So if num modulo 2 equal to 0, then I have to print what? It's even. So basically, like f num is even, else I can print here else num modulo 2, sorry, else print f, and now that is num is odd. Okay, like that. Now if I call that with I have to give the one parameter. So for that I have to give like 10. Suppose 10, I am giving 10. So 10 is basically what? 10 is an even number. If I give 11, like that, so 11 is odd. Okay, so to make it more complex, or why we are using function, let me do something like list, or we can have for loop. So for I in range 1 to 100. Now I am checking the all even and odd numbers from 1 to 100, and for that I am calling this function again and again, even, odd, and I am passing here 9. So let me see what is going to happen. So that is like 40 is even, sorry, 1 is odd, 2 is even, 3 is odd, 4 is even, like that. Okay, so it's giving me the output from 1 to 99. So that's the power of function. We are using the same code again and again rather than uh, writing the code for the 100 numbers. Okay, so that's the power of function. Okay, so for that, let me do this. Okay, next is the arguments. So there are arguments. So on the basis whether you know the number of arguments or not, arguments are like divided into three categories. First one is arbitrary arguments, the second one is keyword arguments, and the third one is arbitrary keyword arguments. So arbitrary arguments are like, if you do not know how many arguments that will be passed into a function. Suppose here I don't know how many numbers are going to be passed here. Like I'm considering num as a one argument, but I don't know if suppose if I don't know that how many arguments are going to be there. So I can use a asterisk before the parameter name. Suppose I use anything before the parameter name in the function. So it will help me to calculate or to consider all the arguments that I use during the calling a function. Okay, so arbitrary arguments. So let me consider some example like this. So I have used a function that is def. I've created a function that is transport mode, and I'm passing some arbitrary argument. That is, I don't know how many arguments are going to be there while calling. Suppose I call using the 4 arguments, but I don't know how many arguments are there. So for that I'm using arbitrary arguments, and for star is there for arbitrary arguments. Now I'm using the indexing method. Basically, when I am passing the arguments as args, I'm using the indexing method, and indexing starts from 0. So arguments starts from 0 and end like that. So basically this is at 0th position, this is at 1st position, 2nd position and 3rd position. So basically A is working as a list in which there are these arguments, and I am accessing these arguments using the indexing method. Okay, so let me run that. So like that. So for a1 I am using bus, so that is like this. So for a0 I have to use car, so that I am using car. So for that I am using car like that. Okay, so you can use arbitrary argument for anything. Similarly, you can create another function like def transport, def names like that, and you don't know how many names are there, so like n. Okay, now print like f, random name, something like random name, but I am using the indexing here. So like 5, like 2. Okay, now there is like I'm calling that names. So for that names, and inside that web like that Alec Jace carry. Okay, and like this. So 0 1 2 3. So what will be the output? Any suggestion? So basically n3 is there, so that is 0 1 2 3. So output will be random name is like carry. Okay, so output will be random name is carry like that. Sorry, I mistakenly written the name incorrectly. So that is random name is carry. So this is arbitrary argument when you don't know how many arguments are there while calling the function. So you can use asterisk symbol and any parameter name, and using that using indexing method you can access that name also. Next is keyword argument. So keyword arguments is like you can also send arguments with key value syntax. Okay, so key value syntax is basically you have key and you have to print the value. So for that you can use the key value both, and for keyword argument there is something different. So like keyword arguments, so I am passing here the keys. Like while calling you have to define that. Okay, so while calling you have to mention that, like role, that is role is key, working as a key. Okay, and 45, that is working, age is working as a key, and that is the value, that is the 45. A sex male, male is the value and sex is the like my key. Okay, so key value pairs are there. Now if I print role, so for that we have to print role, for age and sex for sex. Okay, so like that. So this is rule number 124, age is 45 and sex is male. So let me take another example like def, or something like um, def id, something like this. Okay, so id name comma address something and place like that, something like that. Okay, print name comma address comma place like that. Now if I call that like name v address 125d, something like that, and like Delhi. Okay, so this will return me like this. Okay, So that's all about keywords argument. So there are many other arguments, that is quarks. Quarks is basically keyboard that is arbitrary keyword arguments. So in the same, like it's a mixture of both the arguments. So if you do not know how many keyword argument that will be passed into a function, you have to just use the two asterisks before the parameter name in the function definition. This way the function will receive a dictionary of arguments. In all the way it will receive a dictionary of arguments, and you can access the items accordingly. So for keyword arguments, similarly you have to use the double asterisk symbol and like that. Or suppose there is like distribution. So I am printing the distribution, whether the given distribution is binomial, uniform, or normal probability distribution. Okay, so for that I am using keyword arguments, that is arbitrary keyword arguments, quarks, basically in short form quarks. It is very important for interview purpose too. Okay, so like I'm using print function and using the value, basically using the left hand side operator value, that is the ABC. So I'm storing a value, a string value in a variable a, like that. So a behaves like this, whole behaves as a parameter, but I'm considering this in keyword argument, like a is behaving as a parameter. Okay, now x is considering this as a parameter. I'm considering x, and now using the a, that is in the in the calling section, I'm printing the binomial, or using b I'm printing uniform, or using c I'm printing normal. So basically if we don't know how many arguments are there, we can use the, like we can use the name of the arguments, and by that we can access using the indexing property, like that. Okay, so if we run this, is like given distribution normal. If I change this to b, this will be uniform. So given distribution is uniform. Now next concept is about how you can pass a list as an argument, or you can pass a list as an argument. So answer is yes, we can pass a list as an argument. And to pass list as an argument, same code is there. Like we have to use the same, like we are passing a parameter or arguments as a list, and we can do the same operations on list again. Suppose I'm printing the list using the function. So you can so you have to use the same, you create the list first, def list, sorry, you have to create the function first, and then I am passing some parameter, and this parameter is basically taking what, this is taking a list of 10 numbers. Okay, and for I in list x, now it's printing I. So basically I am considering a loop inside a function, and with that loop I am printing each value. Okay, so that is this. So I can take another example where I have to use list. So def list a, something like that, and I'm passing some list like that. Don't get confused with the parameter name or the function name. These are very simple. And like suppose let me check whether this is possible. List b dot max, or max of list b, something like that. Okay, return sorry return max of list b, that is maximum element of list b. Now I'm calling list a, and for that I have to pass the list, that is 1 2 3 4 5. I'm passing this, then what it is returning, so basically it's returning 5. That's good. Okay, so that's returning me 5. That's cool. Okay, so it's returning me 5. That's cool. Okay, now example with, so this so here we look about how to pass a list as an argument. So you can pass list as an argument, okay, inside a function. Now you can see how functions are using the other concepts too. So examples using return. So you can use return function inside a function, return inside a function like we did earlier. We use return max, like that. So there is another function like return x. Now I'm passing some strings value, like my name Weber, my tutorial like Shadow I, and my friend's name, that is Alec, like that. Okay, So this will return me the same value like web of shadow pi and web. Next is the pass statement. So pass statement is very famous statement in Python. When you don't want to run or execute the statement, then just use the pass statements. Um, After using function definitions cannot be empty. So if you define a function and you think that you will use that function in future, then you can use the pass statement inside that block, inside that functions block. So basically it will it will not going to throw an error. Okay, so it just avoid getting an error. So pass statement is nothing but it's doing like it's a way to remove the errors. Okay, now recursion is basically the process. So recursion is a concept that is from function. So like there is nesting is basically when we call when we use if statement inside if or elif statement. Similarly, in case of Python, if we use functions inside a function or if we call the function inside a function directly or indirectly, that is called recursion. Okay, so the process in which a function call itself directly or indirectly is called recursion, and the corresponding function is, and there is a name of that function that is called recursive function. Using recursive algorithms, certain problems can be solved quite easily. So recursion is very important concept in any programming language. Recursion is like calling the same function again and again, and recursion solves many problems in real life also. Okay, like Fibonacci series is a very basic problem in case of recursion. So let's look what is actually there in Fibonacci or factorial. So first of all, we will go through the factorial problem. So factorial is basically like multiplying the digits from the end to the 1. Okay, like this, suppose there is factorial of 5, so you have to multiply the all digits that come before 5 including 5, like that. So 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, that is 120, I think. So for that I am creating a function factorial and I am passing one argument n. N is basically the argument that I need to find the factorial. Okay, so that is the main argument, and a is something that I am using externally or I can use internally in the function. Now I am considering that if the value of the argument is passed as 0, suppose you have to calculate the 0 factorial. So you know that the basic is that the basic fundamentals of factorial is that 0 factorial is 1, also 1 factorial is 1. Now otherwise, if this condition is true, we have to return this, otherwise like return factorial. Now I am using factorial. Now there is n minus a. So n minus a is basically what? If I am passing 6, so in first term 6 is not equal to 0, so this will not run. In factorial this will come and this is like 6 minus 1, that is 5, and here 6 will be passed and into a, that is 1. So this is 6, so this statement will return 6 after executing the same, basically because I am calling the function again with 5. Now if I am calling the function with 5, now this value is updated with 6, and now when I am calling this with 5, now this is like 5 into 6, that is 30. So now the updated value will be 30. Similarly it will go up to 1, and when it reaches 0, then it will return 1. That is like it will calculate the factorial of the given n. So like that. So this is 720 is the answer. So now there are many concepts that we studied. Now let's do some problems on these concepts. So like I have a question, like first question is about write a function. We have to write a function to multiply we have to multiply numbers in a list. Okay, so we have been given numbers in a list and we have to multiply all the numbers together. So first of all we will create some list. So list can be created by using the brackets, square brackets. Now there is some function is created using def, and I am creating a function named mullist and I am passing parameter as num. Now from there is a mul variable that I initialized equal to 0 1. Basically this part is logic part. I am using a logic that I initialized a temporary variable that is also called a mul variable equal to 1, and now I am looping through the list. Basically I am considering all the elements of list one by one and multiplying that to that with each other. Basically I am multiplying mul with like mul value is updated each time like that. So mul into I. So for first run, that is I equal to 0, that is I equal to, sorry, I equal to 1, that is 1. So for that, mul will be updated with 1, because 1 into 1, that is 1. Now for that 2, mul will be updated by 2. Now for that 3, mul will be updated by 6. Now for 4, mul will be updated by 24, and mul 5, that is updated by 120. So that's why I'm getting the output as 120. After executing the for loop, we can return the statement or return the output. Next question is about, we have to write a Python function to calculate the factorial of a number. Okay, so factorial of number is same what we did earlier, so there's nothing to tell me again the same thing. You have to define the function, you have to put the base condition, like there's logic behind the base condition, that is if 0 factorial is 1 or 1 factorial is 1. Now you can use that concept to create a recursive function inside that, and after that you will get the result like factorial. Suppose factorial 5, so factorial 5 is basically 120, the output will be 120. Okay, next is write a Python to reverse a string. Okay, so I have to write a function, Python program or a function to reverse a string. So this is like def, I'm creating a function def, and now I am using a reverse string name of the function, and I'm passing some string inside that, and I'm looping through the list. Okay, so basically I'm looping from the first to the last. Basically I'm looping from here L to LE, and now I am printing the ith I, that is from minus E. Okay, so basically starting will be like from -1 to the end, that is E will be at its beginning and S will be like. So I am using the concept of negative indexing here, negative indexing, to print the string in reverse form, or to reverse the string, that like that this is a mirror image of the original string. Next problem is, I have to write a function to find the maximum of 3 numbers. So maximum of 3 numbers can be there using list also. So first look where we treated a list as a, or we have to calculate the maximum of like this. So we are calculating the maximum of this and we get 5. So this is another approach of doing the same thing. And if we have if we are constrained to use the if else condition or if elif condition, then we can use the same concept that I used here. So if a is greater than b, and using AND operator, if both the conditions are true, means if a is greater than b and if a is also greater than c, I have to return a. If b is greater than a and b is greater than c, then I have to return b, else I have to return c. So similarly I have used 3 inputs using this dot split method. Now I am printing the maximum using the function. So let me take some numbers like 10, 20 and 40. Sorry, 10, 20 and 40, so the output will be 40. Next is write a Python function that accepts a string and calculate the number of uppercase letters and lowercase letters. So basically I am using here the functions a concept that is called ASCII code. So basically every character in computer is represented using ASCII codes. So in Python you can find the ASCII code of any character using the ORD method or function. So ORD like A, so it will give me the value of the ASCII code, that is 65. Similarly for B, this will give me the value of 66. Similarly for C, that will give me the value of C, that is 67. So ASCII code for C is 67. Okay, so the logic behind this is like I am checking if the ASCII code is in the limit of the upper characters, then I have to increase the count variable that I have used to 1. Otherwise I have to increase the flag variable, that is lowercase letters. So I am considering that my string is only of uppercase letters and lowercase letters, nothing more than that. Like there are not special symbols inside that. Okay, now for so if I get any uppercase character, that is the ASCII code is between 65 to 19, I will increase my count to 1. Otherwise I will increase the count to 1. Okay, sorry, flag value to 1. Now I'm returning both the value like that. So master Vasta, I'm returning 6. So 6 characters are bigger characters, that is capital letter character, and remaining 16 are the lowercase characters. Okay, next important function is anonymous function, that is lambda function. It is very important for the interview point of view. A lambda function, it can take any number of argument but can only have one expression. So lambda function is basically an anonymous function. Like we can have a function in a single statement, or we can execute a function in a single statement, and we can use that again and again. Like I can use that for print sum like 10 comma 20, so it will give me this value like 30. So like creating function def and then using function name and then parentheses and then writing some statements, you can use lambda function for short codes, not bigger codes. You can use this for short codes. Okay, let me check something different using the same. So lambda is also a keyword. You can use lambda to create lambda function. Okay, so lambda, so this is syntax lambda, and then I am using the variables like a comma b comma c, and actually what I am doing operation is to the right of the colon, that is a into b into c. So I am multiplying all the three. So for that I am just using the print, and this is my function, and I'm passing arguments like suppose there is 5 6 7, that is 6 5 are 30 and 7 3 are 21, that is 210. Okay, so that's all about today. I hope you are enjoying the lectures. So in the next session we will be learning something new about the Python and some more concepts. Okay, we will discuss about arrays in the later section. So for now this is enough, and we will be having some question answers regarding this function topic. Okay, so thank you. Please do like, share and subscribe my channel to get the updates.